Hey guys, Jim Allen here. What time is it? Looks like it's 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. So listen, I try to start on time. See, so I'm trying not to do the whole CPT thing, the whole color people's time. So I try to start on time. That way you guys can check out the, check out who I'm talking to, check out the video, and get it in a timely fashion, and do what else you have to do this evening. I used to come on, when I would come on, I used to come on at 7 p.m., but, you guys were telling me it's too late and you sleepy and all this other kind of stuff. So here we are right now. Okay. So, hey, 6 o'clock, I have a great guest coming on with me. Attorney Minister Kendra Spearman, and she'll be with me, so sit tight, hang out with me until she get here. Going to be an exciting conversation, definitely a conversation we need to talk about, especially in our community. I don't know why my lighting keep going in and out. Maybe it's this Facebook feature, I don't know. Hold on one moment, let's see. Okay, bam, that looks a little better, right? There we go. That looks a little better, yes. So, I see we have a few people that's in with me right now. If you could just wave, I could wave back. I don't actually see who's in. Minister, how can I join? Okay. Just send me the request. Matter of fact, I'll send you a request. Hold on one moment. Hold on one moment, guys. I'm sending the minister, the attorney, the invite, and I just sent you the invite, Attorney Spearman. So just respond to the invite and we will be rocking and rolling. Yes, indeed. Crystal in the house. Attorney Crystal Sims. Zeta Phi Beta in the house, Z5, baby. Where's the main man, Dr. Henderson Banks, the Honorable Henderson Banks? Yes, ma'am. Kendra, I sent you the invite, Attorney Spearman, and so all you have to do is just respond to it, or you can send me an invite and I can bring you right on. Is the invite in my inbox? Okay. Hold on, guys. Hold on. One moment. Wait a minute. Try to wave at me, Attorney Spearman. Try to wave at me. Once you wave at me, and I could see if I could see the invite that way. But I sent it to you, and if you try to wave at me, I can see if I could send it again. One moment, guys. We'll have the attorney on. Don't worry about it. Just stick with us. We'll get this thing together. And right, let me send it again. Okay. Invite. Oh, I can't send it again. I already sent it. I sent it once, and I guess I can't send it again. It says invited. So, Attorney Spearman, you said you don't see it. Okay. Just try to see, how can we do this? Give me one moment, Attorney Spearman. All right. Okay, so that's not it. All right, I'll let you try to figure it out, Attorney. So yeah, if you just like maybe wave at me, and then it'll pop up, and I could probably add you that way too. So try to send me a wave if you can. What is this up here? Hold on one moment. Yeah, try to wave. And sorry guys, I'm trying to. Yeah, I sent it already. Attorney Spearman. Yeah, just Attorney Spearman. That's what you need to do. Like, you see everybody that's waving at me. Okay, I can actually bring them on live. So if you just wave at me, then we could try to do it that way. Even though I already sent it already. So just see if you can find it. And see, right now it says that's my cousin David. He's watching. I can click right below and bring him on live with me. So just try to wave at me, and we can do it that way as well. Attorney Spearman. Okay, I'm watching out for your invite. So just hold on, guys. She'll be with us. She's trying to find it on. I find it. Okay, I am. Crystal is trying to help me now. Okay. I do not even see the wave. Oh, man. Okay, hold on, attorney. Let's see. Okay. How you doing, Scott? Attorney Spearman. Give me 1 minute. Attorney Crystal is trying to help Attorney Spearman. So while she's doing that, Attorney Spearman will be on with us, guys. Just, hang loose, okay? She'll be with us. We'll get this all figured out. But in the meantime, are you guys excited about Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris, are you excited about this? Are you fired up? Are you ready to go? What do you guys think about it, man? Biden, Harris, first woman, color, black woman. She identifies as black. On a major ticket as vice president. Now, of course, we can't forget the historic run of Shirley Chisholm. I had her shirt on the other day when I was on live. So of course, we can't forget the great Shirley Chisholm, Congresswoman out of New York, who ran for president as well in 1972. Basically, laying the groundwork for women to run. Hold on one moment. I think this is Attorney Spearman. 1 moment, guys. Okay. Hold on. All right. So, yeah, just 1 moment, guys. The attorney is coming on, but as we wait for the attorney, it's been heated, man. It's been heated debate as it relates to Kamala Harris and her on the ticket with Joe Biden. Listen, I'm with it, man. I'm supporting Biden Harris. There's no way I'm supporting Trump and these Karens, man. I can't do it. There's no way possible. No way possible. Okay, bring them on. Add. Attorney Spearman.
There we go. Thanks, sis. All right. Jim, I'm so sorry. I guess I should have rehearsed this first. So I I was on a MacBook initially, so I had to switch over to my cell phone to make it work.
Oh, that's no problem. That's no problem. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing extremely well. I need to bring this camera down so that they could see the other part of me. I think that's better, right?
Yeah, you look
That's a
fine.
little better. What was that?
I said you look good on my end. I can see you.
Okay. Because on my end, it's like I can't see myself. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better, right? There we go. Hey, it's technology, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I'm just getting a little, like a little feedback from you.
For
Do
me,
you have any other pages open?
I do not. I'm on my cell phone.
Okay.
Is it? Should I try to go out and come back in?
No, no, no. This should be fine.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So, are you excited about Kamala Harris?
I am. I am. Always excited to see Black women lead, and so yeah, I'm very excited about it. I've been seeing a lot of the criticism on Facebook. I've been trying to kind of stay away from it, but yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been seeing it too, and I've been directly going right at it. Just, I mean, I don't care, you know.
I saw you make a live. I need to go back and watch it, but I said, "Oh, Jim's on the case. I don't need to say anything." I know you're gonna take care of it. Yeah, I am
Yeah,
very
it's
excited.
crazy. Yes, ma'am. So, are you still doing court cases remotely?
I am. Most of my court cases have been taking place via Zoom. Um, I'm still not sure how I feel about it. At first, I was excited about Zoom. It does eradicate the commute, but it seems
Right.
like stuff is just moving more slowly. But yeah, most of
Mm-hmm.
everything has been taking place via Zoom, so I don't have to worry about that commute, which took up a lot of my time driving from various courthouses.
Right. Let me make sure people could see us because I see Attorney Crystal said, reposition your phone. I mean, can you guys see me? Can you see the attorney clearly? I mean, it looks good on my end.
Yes, is she saying I should reposition my phone?
I don't know. I mean, everything looks fine on my end. Yeah, everything looks fine. I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good. You know,
Jim, and I
I
just
had to bring.
I want to say thank you so much for everything you do. I know I speak for myself and a plethora of other people when I say we really appreciate you, how you promote us and our businesses and you encourage us, and we're so grateful for you and everything you do.
Thank you, thank you, and you're welcome. You know, this is what it's about, especially black businesses. We're hemorrhaging left and right. Forbes put something out where they said, you know, a little over half of black businesses have been decimated because
Right.
of the pandemic and riot and protesting, and so we really are all we got,
Exactly.
literally. You know, so we have to promote each other and push each other, and the Chicago Lawyers Collective to me is just a blessing to our community. If you can you talk about that real quick? The Chicago Lawyers Collective.
Sure. So Chicago Lawyers Collective is a group of Black attorneys. We all have our individual law firm, Henderson Banks Law, Nicole Scott Family Law, and then myself, Spearman Law LLC. And we all specialize in different areas. And the way we got started, we had breakfast one day, and we said, you know, we want to go around to churches and just give free legal workshops to empower our people, because statistics show that people that encounter the criminal, well, just not the criminal system, the legal system in general, they tend to be poor people of color, right? And they're already disadvantaged. And so we wanted to do
Right.
something to level the playing field, and we wanted to fix that. So we just got together and we decided, hey, let's go around to these different churches. And then it just, it just took off from there. And so what we've been doing a lot of pro bono work, especially in a lot of the recent protests. We represented a number of people who were arrested during that protest. We've been donating to some of the funerals, unfortunately, of the young people who have been gunned down by this senseless violence, pandemic of violence. And so we just been doing a lot of stuff to just empower the community, to have our presence in the community. You know, there are negative stereotypes surrounding attorneys that we're greedy and we're selfish, and that's not the case. So we just give back to our community, and we're very excited to do so. A lot of the people that we serve, we can relate to them because we come from disadvantaged homes. Myself coming from a single parent home, I can relate to a lot of the people that we work with. So we just wanted to do something to give back and help.
Right. Let me ask you about criminal justice, but prefacing it with the Clinton crime bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Clinton crime bill. And what was that, 94, 95?
93, 94, I think.
93, 94 Clinton crime bill that came from people, black people, upset and tired of the crime, the violence, the murder that was going on in their neighborhoods. And they wanted, they wanted some accountability.
Sure.
You know what I mean? They wanted some kind of accountability. Now, in the 90s, I grew up in the projects.
Right.
So when we talk about the whole 3 strikes thing, it wasn't something that, was just some secret thing.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? People in the projects knew, like, yo, if we fight in the projects, they're going to kick us out. So we got to go fight across the street in the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't the whole Clinton crime bill 3 strikes thing wasn't something that took us by surprise. We knew, like, yo, if I get caught again, I'm going to get some serious time, and man, so it's a cat and mouse game. But with that, we saw mass incarceration of black folks, and some of them were innocent. Some of us were definitely innocent. How is criminal justice reform dealing with that? How is it reconciling that history?
Right. So the issue you have with criminal justice reform is so broad, and we can talk about some of the issues of the 90s, but we can go as far back as the 13th Amendment, right? That said, let's abolish slavery, but there's a loophole unless you've been charged with a crime. And then we could talk about some of the federal initiatives that took place from the White House administration during the Johnson administration and Nixon administration. And so the issue is people should be held accountable for the mistakes that they make. The problem with our criminal justice system is that people should not have to spend the rest of their lives, right, paying for a mistake that they made, especially when they've served their time or they've served their sentence on probation. And so what I hope and what I'm excited because now it seems to be coming to the forefront of the need for criminal justice reform. And what I'm hoping is that we can transition towards a criminal justice system that's more restorative. So when I say that, we tend to look at a crime and we say, how can we punish this person? But statistics show that does not work, punitive measures, right? So we need to figure out how can we invest in people? How can we restore people back to the community? And that's what we want to do. Even in my practice, I've only been practicing, I'll be an attorney 4 years this November, but I've seen countless instances where my clients, even when I put all my time and energy to get the best outcome for them, and we fight a case, they just cycle right back into the system because of these systemic issues. So the problem with federal initiatives that seek to address crime is that if they don't address the root causes of crime, substandard education, poverty, and things like that, we're going to have an issue. So when we talk about criminal justice reform, one of the things that I absolutely had to do and my practice is I had to develop an initiative to address some of these issues, right? So I started what's called the Justice Renewal Initiative, and it seeks to help people who have come in contact with the criminal justice system in three primary ways. One being employment training, and helping people find meaningful employment, because we know that contact with the criminal justice system tends to diminish future job prospects. Mental health is a major issue. I've sat in court and I've seen the court engage in business as usual approaches with defendants that just need mental health treatment. Education is a huge one. Contact with the criminal justice system places impediments on people's ability to just go to school. You'd be surprised. Right. We know, especially in our communities where poverty is an issue, we need education, trade school, some form of GED to advance ourselves and overcome a lot of these issues that we face economically. So when we talk about criminal justice reform, we want to move away from these punitive measures, and we want to look for ways to restore people back to the community.
Right. You know what? You make a great point. Now, do you have a radio on where you at?
I do not. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fine. But you make
another device.
No, it's okay. You make a great point, the whole punitive point, because to me it seems like it starts young, with our people. I have a cousin who, when he was arrested for like stealing some chips or something like that, they took him in the room and called the police. I mean, it was a whole big to-do, and that set in motion for his life. It basically told him, you're a criminal.
Right.
And that set in motion. Instead of, like in some communities, stuff like that happen, the security guard may scare them straight, they go home. There's no record of it. But we got to get a record. You know what I'm saying? We got to get a record for stealing a Snickers candy bar. The police called on us. And to me, it's like that set in motion mentally for him, the whole criminal mindset.
Exactly. And it starts at an early age, even, going to school, how our schools have been set up to look like prisons, essentially, and that whole school to prison pipeline thing. And, kids get, the police call for things that we used to get sent to detention for, right? And so it does start early. And like I said, the statistics show that once you have that encounter with the justice system, the criminal system, no matter how insignificant it is, something as small as stealing a bag of chips, statistics show that there's this cycle. And you just grow up in the system, and that's very problematic. And the amount of money that we invest in these punitive measures, instead of looking at the underlying issues, it's very problematic.
Yes. I mean, I've seen even your SORA, attorney Kim Fox. I think she's your SORA, is she?
Delta Sigma.
Okay. Devastating divas. But I've seen her on the front lines fighting for criminal justice reform with the likes of Jay-Z and Meek Mill and some other very well-known celebrities. Just using her position to fight for criminal justice reform. So that's a wonderful thing as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it's going to take. People, celebrities, and people who have influence, speaking up and advocating for this change that we so desperately need. So absolutely.
Right. How do we deal with the police and traffic stops? Ooh. Now, we've all read the rules of the road book. We know they have a hand on the wheel and all of that. But with so much going on, it's like, man, am I about to die tonight? Am I about to die right now? You get excited, you jump out the car, you put your hand out the window, you don't know what to do. So what should we be doing when we're stopped by the police, doing a traffic stop, or just how do we deal with the police in general?
Right. So This is always a difficult area for me because I'm all about empowerment, especially with young people and teaching them their rights. But there's this whole tension, right? That when a young person does know their rights, or anybody for that matter, if you encounter the wrong police officer on the wrong day with an ego, it doesn't matter. So it's always
You're
a
right.
tension for me because while I want people to be able to articulate their rights, I also want I don't want a situation where it's escalated, and unfortunately, we have to say this that you end up dead. It's sad that we have to say that. So one of the most common issues during traffic stops, the Fourth Amendment, right, which protects us against unreasonable searches and seizures. And a traffic stop essentially is a seizure. So you want to make sure that the officer is able to articulate specific facts that give rise to a reasonable suspicion that you have committed some sort of traffic offense, right? Whether it's you were speeding, you missed the stop sign, your headlights aren't on, and whatever it is. And so it's hard to do because even when I get pulled over, I'm nervous, right? Sometimes it's hard to
Wait a
just.
minute. You been pulled over?
Yes, I had an instance when I went through the car wash, and in Illinois how you have to have the plates on the front and the back, and so
Right.
my plates in the front fell off, and doing when I was working, it was about 2 or 3 weeks it took me to get it replaced. I got pulled over so much for it. I was never given a ticket or anything, but it just makes you nervous being black and just getting pulled over. So I understand, but try to remain calm. One thing I always tell people, I advise people to invoke your right to remain silent, your Fifth Amendment right, even during traffic stops. Now, some judges and some courts will disagree with me, but here's the thing. You'll have officers saying stuff like, how much did you have to drink? Or how fast were you going? Where are you going? Where are you coming from? And I always advise people just stick to what's on your ID. So your name, your address, your date of birth, because all of that stuff is self-incriminating. Again, judges typically will take the side that it's necessary questions to ask, during a field investigation or whatever. But if they have body cam, like in Chicago, or there's always a dash cam footage, these things are being recorded and it can be used against you. So I always advise people to don't share as less as possible. Invoke your right to not say anything. And so if there is an issue, where the police asks you to step out of the car or something like that, don't resist. Even if you feel like you should not have been pulled over, even if you feel like the police officer is wrong, the important thing is that you want to walk away with your life. And then you can contact me after the fact and we can fix the issue. But we want to make sure that you are protected and nothing happens. So you don't want to resist. You don't want to try to run away or anything like that. And so if they pull you over and they say you violated some traffic offense or whatever, the only way that they can search your car is if you give them consent. So make it clear, you do not have the right to search my car. Okay. The other way is if they have probable cause, so reasonable grounds to believe that a crime has been committed or there's evidence of a crime in your car. Now, one of the most common things I hear officers say, or I read these police reports, is that, oh, I smell drugs, or I smell alcohol, or I see drug paraphernalia. And, it is what it is. If they search don't try to stop it. Again, there are measures that we can take once we get to court to suppress or throw that evidence out if they have gone about doing it the right way. But I just want to stress, and usually I'm all for this is your right, but I just want to stress it's sad that we have to do this in this day and time. Just comply. So you can you can be alive at the end of it, and then you want to contact me after the fact, and we can fight that case. But we want to make sure your health and your safety is what's most important.
So it seems to me that it's important for everyday citizens to just have a lawyer's card in their purse, wallet, on their, especially if you black or you're a person of color, you should have a lawyer's, contact information in your phone or your person ready to use at any moment.
Absolutely. And something that happens so much, we say it all the time, is do not talk to the police. Say, invoke your right, Fifth and Sixth Amendment right. Hey, I'm not talking. Hey, I want a lawyer. And I can't tell you how often I have a case where I'm like, there's no way they can prove this. And then I get video of of a client admitting to things. Even if you feel like you've done nothing wrong, they'll find some sort of way to use it against you. Even if the officer comes off as the nicest person in the world, it's all tactics to get you talking. And so you have to invoke your right, to remain silent and do not say anything and just say, hey, I want to call my lawyer.
Right. So just give them the, your driver's license right at the spot, Fifth Amendment.
Right. I mean, and, they're going to ask those questions again. Some attorneys and some people will disagree with me, but I just feel like if you're saying, hey, how much did you have a drink? If I answer that, that's incriminating. And so you can be courteous, you can be cordial, don't get aggressive, but I would just stick to, hey, this is everything they can see on the license anyway. If you have a license. Now, if you don't, that's another issue, but yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's sad that we have to. These are the times we're in, and we definitely have to know our rights and apply our rights. Exactly. Sometimes we feel as Black people, people of color, and even other minorities, we feel like we don't have the right to say, "I want to use my right to remain silent." And we just start blabbering off at the mouth, like you said, not knowing that we're doing nothing but incriminating ourselves. I mean,
and I think when it comes to like stuff like that and the searching of the cars, I think sometimes people are just nervous and they're scared that if they don't consent to it, something worse is going to happen. And I get it. But you still invoke your right. Hey, you do not have the right to search my car. If it happens anyway, we can, like I said, there are measures that we can take in court to fight it, but you just want to walk away, knowing that you still have your life, and it's sad to say, but yeah, absolutely.
Because we don't want a situation to end in excessive force where these cops have qualified immunity. And that's a whole nother tough situation that we're dealing with. Can you explain that?
Yes.
Excessive force and the whole qualified immunity situation?
Absolutely. So excessive force, it stems from your Fourth Amendment right. Again, so a police officer should only do what's necessary to effectuate an arrest or to prevent him or herself from being harmed or someone else from being harmed. And so examples that can result in excessive force, one of the extreme examples is like what we saw with the George Floyd situation, or a situation where someone is shot and killed, or just shot and maybe they thankfully do survive, or something from the officer punching you or kicking you, or instances where the officer grabs you and throws you to the ground, or if an officer employs their taser. And so there's no specific legal definition to excessive force. So what the court usually looks at is this standard of what a reasonable officer would do under those circumstances. Now, the problem with that is that we have a lot of unreasonable policies and practices and procedures. So that's problematic right there from the start. But when we talk about excessive force, we want to look at the totality of the circumstances. Now, this doctrine of qualified immunity, it definitely needs to be abolished. It really has come to the forefront now because we've seen a lot of instances of police brutality during the protest against police brutality. And so I think we had one instance where an officer drove into a crowd of people. They're using these rubber bullets, and unfortunately, a lot of these people may not be able to get damages because of qualified immunity, which is essentially a legal doctrine that has shielded and protected police officers and government officials from being sued in court for civil damages. And so the problem is this weird standard that essentially says So if you have a situation with the police, and let's say that the police picks you up and throws you down to the ground, in order to, be successful in court, the officer has to know that he or she violated a clearly established law. Now, the way
Okay.
that determines that is that they have to have a case that's very similar to yours, almost exactly alike. And so the issue with that, the impediment that poses is that no case is the same, right?
Right.
Cases are unique. Every case is different. So it's this huge hurdle that plaintiffs have to overcome, and it needs to be abolished. It prevents, police officers from feeling like they can just get away with anything, shoot first and ask questions later. And so that's something that really needs to go away, and is very problematic.
The first time I heard about it was, I think I was talking to Attorney Banks,
Mm-hmm.
and I was asking him about the whole, the George Floyd situation, and then he mentioned about qualified immunity, and I think for a lot of people that was the first time the whole nation really heard about it, during that, still during his ongoing trial with, concerning brother Floyd, George Floyd. So, I mean, that is a rough, tough, complicated law.
Right. Right. And plaintiffs are already at a disadvantage when it comes to the legal system, and that
Right.
just exacerbates these matters. Like, I've seen police officers get away with, or you'll read some of these cases, and it's like unbelievable. Like, in one instance, I think the police officer did a bear hug on a woman, threw her to the ground, collarbone broken, qualified immunity. What? That's ridiculous. And so it's just stuff that makes you angry, and you're
Right.
reading, and you're like, this cannot be real. It's just unbelievable. But, again, criminal justice reform, all of these systemic issues and practices that just need to go away.
So criminal justice reform can also include qualified immunity.
I mean, when I think about criminal justice reform, I think about how we police people,
Right.
we engage
Okay.
with people we arrest. So even though qualified immunity deals with civil damages, when you have take the George Floyd situation, it was initiated because it was allegedly a crime committed. So how you police people, how you engage with people that you're trying to arrest, that all falls under criminal justice reform, because you have police officers who are acting, under the color of the law. And so I think you definitely cannot exclude it.
Right. Let's talk about defund the police.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's I've been seeing that a lot, especially with the Black Lives Matter protests. The whole defund the police movement. I know Joe Biden isn't for defund the police.
You said is or is not?
He's not.
Okay.
So, but do you think that's a strategy that could be used with criminal justice reform, or just in a broad sense? I mean, should we defund police? Should we scale back? What does that look like?
So absolutely. I want to first say that I think police officers, the ones that do their jobs and they engage with people in a reasonable way, and they do what they're supposed to do, we appreciate those officers and what they do on a day-to-day basis to risk their lives.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the issue. No, we're not trying to take away money. If you work, you should get your fair wage, right? We're not trying to take money out of the pockets and from the families of people like police officers who do significant work. That's not the issue. The issue is you have to look at it from a historical perspective. So we talked about a lot of those federal government initiatives that essentially historically they placed all of this funding into municipalities that were able to be tough on crime. And so what happened is it led to the over-policing and over-prosecution of Black communities, because you had police officers in places like housing projects, the welfare office, the schools, places that they should not have been. even when white people are, committing the same crimes, but we get the punishment because they're in our, in our community over policing us. So historically, when you have the influx of African Americans moving from the South, right, to escape
Mm-hmm.
segregation and Jim Crow, and then you have this uprise of the civil rights movement, the White House administration says, oh, we have to do something about this, right? So they start investing all of this federal funding into police departments and rewarding municipalities for having rising statistic reports on crime. And so
Right.
you associate black and poverty with criminal. Well, we know that's not the case. It's what the federal government wanted to paint. And so you have all of this money being invested in police departments to, over police the African American community. So when we talk about defunding the police, we talk about reversing those systemic oppressive practices that have not worked. They have not mitigated crime. In fact, the argument can be made that it's what caused the crime, right? And so
Right.
you want to reallocate the funding. It's not about taking money from the police. It's about redistributing funds to invest what we've traditionally and historically invested in over policing and punitive measures. We want to take those funds and we want to put it into our community, right? So, I talked about earlier how we have people released from the criminal system every day that go back to the same zip codes on the west and south sides of Chicago. And what if we took that same money that we've spent on prisons and punitive measures to invest in social programs, to invest in mental health professionals that can accompany police on these calls, so you won't have a person that's dealing with a mental health issue dying
Mm-hmm.
and shot and killed when they didn't have to be, because the police doesn't have the training to de-escalate this situation. So you want to invest this money back into the community to restore the community. So that's what it's about, reallocation of funds.
Definitely. I think Mayor Lightfoot, especially as we talk about crime in Chicago, I think Mayor Lightfoot should look into um, having various task force. A task force of just black lawyers, a
Mm-hmm.
task force of black medical doctors, a task force of mental health workers, a task force of ministers. Know what I mean? Task force of black business owners. Meet with them separately and then create some type of agenda that you can fund as you defund the police. But it seems like, we're just getting one. It's like we're just getting one agenda from one group, and that's the ministers. And you and I, we're both ministers, so we're not down in ministers.
Right.
But we're leaving out our other professionals that could greatly, lend a lot of support in the agenda that could possibly save our communities, and that defunding of police, those funds could help with that agenda as it relates to our people.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about criminal justice reform, when you talk about a lot of these social issues that, we deal with in our community, it's going to take a hodgepodge of, for lack of
Right.
a better term, people. And so, like, on any given day sitting in court, I see an issue of homelessness, mental health. So we do need those various task forces. We need all hands on deck to help resolve some of those issues. So that is critical, that we need different people from different backgrounds working on this stuff. So I completely agree.
Well, I'm gonna just move, from that piece to a different conversation, and it's sort of different from what we were talking about. But employment discrimination.
Sure.
What is that? And does your office handle employment discrimination?
Absolutely. So at Spearman Law LLC, we do handle that's about half of my caseload right now. It's employment discrimination. So typically you have Title VII, which prohibits discrimination based off race, gender, sex, things like that. You also have the Age Discrimination Act, which prevents employers from discriminating against people who are 40 and over. So my office does handle that. And so the issues that come up in employment discrimination, they can be very complex. Yeah, so you definitely want to involve a lawyer. And so what I always tell people, if you believe that you're being discriminated against at work, you want to definitely take a journal or a diary, or you want to keep some sort of record of each and every incident. Because I do it all the time. I'm like, oh, I can remember this. And then next week, next month, you just forget, right?
Right.
You want to write down events, any witnesses, if you feel like you're being discriminated against. And I'll use race for an example because that's one of the most common ones, race and retaliation. And I'll kind of expound on that. You want to, first of all, you want to make it known to your employer. If it's a manager, if it's a supervisor, a lot of, especially large employers have a certain office that deals with claims like this. You want to, so you can't just keep it to yourself. You need to articulate this stuff. Once that happens, make sure when you make these complaints, make sure the employer is making a written record of this incident. And when they investigate it, which they should also give you an update on that investigation. Okay.
Right.
One of the other things that I always remind people to do also is to do your job well. And I'm not trying to be like, do your job. It's an issue that if you're not doing your job well, if you're constantly late, and an employer can articulate a non-discriminatory reason why they fired you or took some
Well, you
sort
said
of
a non-discriminatory. What was that?
reason, if they can articulate some sort of reason as to why they fired you or why they let you go, even it could be because of race, but if they can say, hey, he was late all the time, or hey, he didn't do this right, X, Y, and Z, then that, that prevents a hurdle for us as we try to go to court. And so I would definitely reach out to my office if you feel like you have an issue. One of the things I want to say is that you have to remember, so I'm blessed to have, like, all of my clients are good people. So the thing about good people, we always think everybody else is going to be good.
Exactly.
My
To
clients
the, to the pure, everything is pure.
right. So some of my clients, they are so surprised, like, why won't they just admit that they did this? Or why won't they just pay me X, Y, and Z because they know this happened? But an employer, they're going to do whatever they need to do to protect themselves. So when I say keep this stuff in a journal, when I say articulate this stuff to higher up or management, it's important that you do that, because at the end of the day, you got to look out for your own rights, because the employer is going to do what they need to do to protect themselves. As they know they're going to fight this battle, in court as we go forward. So keep that in mind. That's very important. But
So
yeah,
while a person is hired or fired, they could still file an employment discrimination suit.
so there's employment discrimination for the failure to hire. So if you feel like, let's say I'm black
Wow.
and I'm just qualified, and a white person that's not qualified gets the job, that may be, a case for employment discrimination. Or if I'm fired, if I notice for some reason everybody over 40 is getting let go and they're being replaced by
Right.
people, that could be an issue. One of the most common instances is retaliation. So sometimes, let's say I complain. I say, hey, Jim, I feel like my supervisor is doing certain things because I'm black. And let's say, in fact, I don't have enough evidence to prove that. But let's say after I make that complaint, I start getting harassed because I complain about what I
Right.
perceive to be racial discrimination. You can have an issue that may amount to retaliation, and that's something that may provide a viable employment discrimination claim. So there are a number of ways that can be very complex. Unfortunately, I get a lot of, my boss doesn't like me, or they roll my eyes. And a lot of they roll their eyes at me every time I walk in, and so a lot of that it probably won't amount to employment discrimination. Unfortunately, it's no rule against having jerks as a boss.
Right.
But there are some, you know, there is a lot of complex issues, and you know, every case is different. So if you feel like you're dealing with this, definitely reach out. And I want to put out there too that I do free consultations, because I know a lot of people are discouraged from reaching out to an attorney, and I think if one place is going to do that,
Well, you say you do free consultations?
free consultations. I know a lot of people are discouraged when it comes to reaching out to an attorney because they feel like they don't, you know, have the money. And, you know, I think if you're going to go to work every day, you don't want to go to work every day and be unhappy and be miserable. So that's something
Right.
I really believe a person's livelihood, and being at home, you should be able to
Right.
be happy in those places. So whatever I can do to mitigate your stress, you know, I'll be happy to serve. If you think you have an issue at work, and we can talk about it, and I'll give you my honest assessment.
Now, those are some great examples. I didn't think about like age discrimination and pretty sure sexual harassment as well.
Absolutely.
Boss want to date you and you don't want to date the guy, and next thing you know, you demoted or fired or whatever the case is.
And it happens all the time, man. And you know, in 2020, we think that, you know, you would think that this stuff would just go away, but it doesn't. And race, that's a big issue. And when you have, and a lot of times you don't have, and it's hard to prove in court, right? Because in most
Right.
instances, if somebody's not saying, hey, you N-word, so it's kind of difficult. But you have other subtle things, this microaggressive type stuff. And then you have some people who are just bold in this day and time, and it does happen every now and then. And so you want to stand up to people like that, and you don't want to allow that stuff to happen, because, you know, you let people get away with this and it just becomes this systemic, you know, issue. And so please reach out, you know, and I like going up against, you know, big employers that feel like they can get away with this stuff. So let's fight.
That's right. This was some great information you gave us. And those who missed it, they'll just do like they always do, go back, rewind the tape, listen to it. So for criminal justice issues, how to deal with the police stops, traffic stops, excessive force, you know, employment discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
Give the people your contact information, how they can reach you, and how they can call you, send you messages. Go
Sure.
right ahead.
So my office number is 312-788-2602. Again, that's 312-788-2602. You can follow me on all social media at Kendra Spearman, just my first and last name on all social media. My website, www.spearmanlaw, my last name, then law.com. And you can send a message that way, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. So yes, happy to serve in any of those areas: criminal defense, employment discrimination, police misconduct, anything of that nature, civil rights issues. Just reach out to me. I'm happy to serve and help.
Sounds absolutely wonderful. Thank you, attorney.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties. I should have practiced this.
Well, hey, that's the world we're in. I
Right.
think Pastor Leandre Hill sent you a shout out, my seminary sister.
That's my bro. Yes, I love you, Dr. Haley. I can't see any messages or anything. I got to figure out how to get this together. But yeah, Haley Andre.
All right, attorney. It was great talking with you, and whenever you want to come back, just let me know. Get
Absolutely.
this out to the people.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a blessed night. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
You're welcome. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that was the attorney Minister Kendra Spearman. So just definitely contact her police misconduct case, criminal justice case, handles cases
with children as well. So if you have children in the justice system or dealing with the justice system, she handles juvenile cases as well, and adult cases, criminal cases. So please contact Attorney Minister Kendra Spearman. Thank you guys for tuning in. Keep the faith.